Yay, welcome, Megan. I'm so excited
Thank
to have
you.
you here. I will just get started then, and I'll record this, and then because I want to totally respect your time, and then whoever jumps on, just make sure you guys, as you come on, please make sure your microphone is muted. Megan's probably not like me. She's probably not a squirrel, but it does help when everybody's muted. So thank you so much, Megan. I'm so excited that you're here. First of all, I just want to say welcome to all the different teams. I know there's a few different teams here. So there's Impact Nation, Sweat Life Dynasty, Strength and Beauty Nation, and Unstoppable Fitness. We're all invited. And then our team, Gone Clean Nation. So we wanted to get a few of you on here so that we could, maximize Megan's time because we know she's super busy. I just want to say thank you so much, Megan. I'm so excited that you're here. I loved you on the 20s. I was so stoked when you won. And I was so emotional about your story about your dad and his 42-inch waist and, just how you inspired him to change his life. And so I just love it. Anyway, I will hand the call over to Megan and let her take over.
Well, first of all, just thank you guys for taking the time to be on the call with me. These are always exciting for me to do, to get to know you guys better and to kind of connect you guys with not only my story, but also how it relates to Clean Week, which is kind of what we're going to talk about first. And then, of course, at the end of the call, we'll kind of go over how you guys can best use Clean Week in your businesses and not only getting new challengers into your challenge groups, but also and how to use Clean Week kind of with your new coaches to make them feel comfortable when they're just starting out. So basically, I have been a trainer now for 13 years. I've kind of been working out and kind of just in the industry, I guess, for 17 years. So a good portion of my life. And so when people hear that, they think like, oh, well then your family must have always been fit. Like you came from a fit family and that's why you just easily transitioned into this as you grew up. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And so in telling my story, it always starts with, when I was younger, I kind of watched my family go on that roller coaster ride that so many families do go on, which was, gaining weight, losing weight in all the wrong ways. We, as a family, had such horrible eating habits that I've been telling everybody the story lately of my parents used to order pizza so much that at one point they decided that they wanted to get healthier and they didn't order any more pizza. And 2 weeks had gone by and the pizza company actually called our house and was like, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? Did we do something wrong? We want to send you over a free pie because we haven't heard from you. That's how often my parents ordered pizzas. The pizza company was worried about us when they hadn't heard from us in 2 weeks. So from there, it's like when they did decide okay, we really need to get a handle on this. We need to stop ordering so much pizza. They didn't know what to do. And so what would end up happening was basically starving themselves down because they thought okay, well, we'll just eat some salads. Well, it was salads that didn't really have anything in it, a ton of dressing, as long as it said fat-free on the bottle. And so there was really no substance there. And then they would just be starving all the time. And eventually they just couldn't maintain that kind of lifestyle anymore. My dad would spend hours in the gym. I never really saw my mom work out or anything when I was very young. And so eventually it would just kind of snowball into not being able to do it anymore. And then they would go back to kind of our old ways. The rest of my family was very, very sedentary. And so they were developing weight problems, health issues. And the only reason that I wasn't developing weight issues was because I was super active. I was the only one in my family that just loved either playing outside, being involved in sports, whatever it was. And I actually kind of fell into doing figure competitions at a very young age. I started strength training at 14 years old to do figure competitions. And so through that, I just kind of fell in love with it. I'm actually a huge introvert. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but with that, it didn't bother me so much. I didn't actually have to talk on stage, which was nice. I just had to go out and pose and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a good stepping stone, I guess, for me to get out of my shell a little bit. But so when I started competing, I just kind of fell in love with strength training and getting on stage and everything. And so I competed for like 12, 13 years, well into my 20s. And a few years into competing though, there was what you were talking about, the story with my dad. So basically my family came out to see me at one of my shows. They were all sitting in the audience with me. And I came out during intermission to say hi to them and everything. And I sat down next to my dad and I turned to him and I just said, Daddy, I feel so sorry for you. And he's sitting there like, you feel sorry for me? You're like my 17-year-old daughter. What do you feel sorry for me for? And at the time he was 47 years old. He had a 42-inch waist. He was somewhere around 100 pounds overweight, but he'll tell everybody he stopped getting on the scale like long before then, so could have been more. And he just said, and really I didn't even notice that at the time. Those weren't the things that I noticed. What I noticed was that he wasn't living his best life. Like, your kids can see that. Your kids can see that you're killing yourself at work and you're not taking care of yourself and you're not doing the things that you love to do. And that's really where I was coming from. I was just like, he's giving me all the opportunities to do these things, but he's not even taking care of himself. And so that's really where I was coming from. I think a lot of people need that aha moment that pulls them into really making like a real final change. And that was his aha moment. And so he sat there and was like, well, that's, like, I feel pretty sorry for myself then that my 17-year-old daughter feels sorry for me. And so he sat there and he said, you know what? I'm 47. By the time I'm 50 years old, I want to get on that stage and I'm going to compete with you. And he said that in front of the rest of my family. And we're all like super a supportive family. But I know that we're also kind of sitting there like, okay, we've seen this roller coaster like my entire life. We'll support him as long as kind of it lasts. But the only difference this time, and something that's really important to me, was that he had me already doing it at home now. So he had like the support system at home now. It wasn't him trying to do it by himself or kind of drag us into it kicking and screaming. Like, he had somebody that was already doing it. And so it took him a year to lose the weight. But then he didn't really look like a bodybuilder. And so he was like, okay, I need to learn a little bit more about nutrition, so how I can put on muscle. And so he brought somebody in to really teach us about that. And at this point, I always tell people that it was just as important for me. I mean, at this point, I'm competing, I'm winning competitions. If you looked at me at the time, like the epitome of health and fitness. But at one point I was getting ready for a show. I didn't really know what I was doing as far as my nutrition was concerned. I was just basically going and asking people behind stage, other competitors, what they were doing. And I was going home and kind of picking and choosing little pieces and making up my own thing that I was doing. And some people do it the right way and some people do it the wrong way. And so I had a little mixture of everything in there. And at one point I was getting ready for a show. I had dropped my body fat down ridiculously low because it was going to be a national competition. And I was on the treadmill still trying to drop my body fat lower and lower. I had cut fats completely out of my diet, like not even a little bit. And I went to go fix my ponytail one day while I was on the treadmill, and just a huge chunk of my hair came off of my hand. And my cycle was all messed up and all kinds of things were just like all of a sudden like that going wrong. And so it was just very important for me at this moment to also learn about nutrition, being on one end of the kind of like my journey, as it was for my dad being on the other end of the spectrum of trying to lose 100 pounds. So when you see people on Instagram and things like that, and they have a six-pack, and you think to yourself like, man, that's what healthy looks like. That's what fit looks like. It's not always the case. Like, yes, some of them are extremely fit and amazing and are doing all the nutrition right. But sometimes and as soon as I went back to the competitions, I talked to some of the girls behind stage, like, my hair was falling out, my cycle was messed up, what is this? And they're all like, oh yeah, that happens to us every single competition. Like, of course that happens. I'm sitting there like, that's not why I started competing. So just make sure that you realize that some of these people are really kind of playing a game of like, they just want to look great on stage, but they're actually doing a lot of harm to their body. So a six-pack doesn't necessarily mean health and fitness and all good things, right? So we started learning about nutrition together, started working out together. And so it got to the point where he was turning 50 years old. He got on that stage. I actually competed the night before him, and so I was there watching him. And I'm watching, and I'm like, I've done a lot of these shows by this time, and I'm like, I think he's going to do pretty good. So I go running backstage and like, that one's my dad. If he gets any sort of trophy or anything, can I please go and give him his trophy? And they're like, oh yeah, but honey, your dad's not just going to get any sort of trophy. He's going to win the entire like Masters over 50 men's division. So I actually got to go out on stage and give him his first place trophy. And his goal was just not to embarrass himself. So he was like completely like, what is going on right now? And it was just kind of like over the whole journey, as he's making his transformation, then my mom's kind of like, okay, he's not wavering here. He's going after this. Like it's been more than a year now. So at some point she was like, well, I want to get on board. She started doing it. My brother was like, I want to get on board. He started doing it. And so our support system at home became even stronger. And so always that's a really important part for me is whenever I'm kind of talking to somebody, because we own a gym now as well, whenever I'm talking to somebody about getting them involved in fitness, you know, they're looking to make a change in their life. And I'm like, well, who at home needs to do this with you? And a lot of times it's like, well, I want to do it, but I don't want my kids to do it, or I want you to train my kids, but I don't want to do it, or I'm going to do it, but my spouse isn't going to do it. And I'm like, it can't work like that. Like, how is it going to work like that when you're trying to cook different meals for them because they don't want to eat broccoli or whatever you're eating? You're just going to have the temptations around all the time, and you need that support system. So it's always like, get the entire household on board, first step. And so from there, it's like when I see what the coaches do, I'm like, it reminds me so much of this time, because from there we just had friends and family noticing like this huge change that we made. And it's like, well, we want to do it too. What can we do? We just started training people in my dad's garage. We ended up opening a small gym many years later. I'd gone to college. I got a degree in health service administration because apparently it didn't occur to me that this could be my career, this thing that I love. And so I got home from college and I got my desk job. My job was fine. I loved my job. I liked the people that I worked for. I was getting paid fine, but it was just fine. Like I was sitting there every day like, man, like at some point in my life, I loved doing this other thing. And I was actually training people at my college's gym too. And so when I got home, it was just kind of like, okay. And my dad called me one day and he's like, you know, we have a lot of people training in the garage still. I think the neighbors are starting to wonder what's going on. You know, maybe we can actually open up a gym here. He's like, I'm going to go look at a facility later today that, you know, this like little like 1,000 square foot place, you know, maybe we can open up something. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of my work day. I can't leave work and open up a magic facility today, Dad. Like, no, sorry, like click. But I hung up the phone. I was like, you know, maybe I should just ask if I can leave today. And my boss was like, yeah, okay, see you later. And so I walked into this facility with my dad, and it wasn't a gym. It was just like a big open facility, but it's like our imagination just immediately starts going wild. And you just feel like you're in the right place at the right time. You're doing the right thing. You're making this right. Huge move, scary move, but like, okay, we're ready for this. We can do this. And so at the time I actually had several jobs. I was training myself at 4 a.m. I was going to my first job. I was leaving that. I was managing another smaller gym at night. I was leaving that. I was training people in my dad's garage. So I was like literally burning the candle at both ends. And so with all those jobs and all that I was doing, I managed to save like a little over $3,000. And first, last, and security for this gym was $3,000. So I like literally wrote a check and emptied my bank account. We painted all weekend. We put my dad's equipment into the garage. And by Monday, we had this gym. And then we went like, oh crap, what did we do? We were training people for free at this point. Are they going to join along with us? And the ultimate answer was yes, because as you guys find when you're doing these challenge groups, it's like when people notice, like they do notice that you're just trying to like lead them with love and support and trying to really teach them a sustainable, real way to get these changes. And it's not just a fad diet, it's not a fad workout or anything like that. These are real programs that are going to help them. They notice that and they want to join along with you on that journey. And so the same thing happened with us. And so they noticed it, they knew it, they saw where we were going with it, and they said, yes, we're going to join with you on this journey. So we've had the gym for 8 years now. My mom's our office manager, and she teaches Zumba. Me, my brother, and my dad are all trainers there. And so it's so awesome to be able to get to work with my family and something that we all love doing. My dad actually just got to retire from his financial planning career as well, that he's done all my life, something that he actually really hated, and he's at the gym full time, so that's awesome too. And so about 2015, backtracking a little bit, was when I got the call to be on the 20s, the reality show that's on Beachbody On Demand. And like I said earlier, I'm a huge introvert. So I get this call like, we want you to be on this reality show. And I was like, no, like that sounds like my nightmare. I don't want to do it. And they called me a second time a couple days later. They're like, oh, please, we think you would be great for this reality show. And I was like, no, like I really don't want to be on a reality show. And they go, well, it's for this company called Beachbody. And I went, I don't know what that is, and I don't want to be on a reality show. Sorry, click. And then third time's a charm, they asked me again. And I was like, at this point, I had actually auditioned for other things that were print ads. So I just had to like run and smile. Nobody had ever had me talk or filmed me or anything like that. So I'd auditioned for many things over the few years prior. And I was like, well, I get very few callbacks, very few. If I auditioned for 100 things, I was getting like less than 5 callbacks. So I was like, I'll put in the videos that they want, and I'm not going to think about it again because I'm not going to get a callback. And a few months later, to my actual horror, I got a callback. And from this point, I had actually met Tony Horton at one point when I first opened up my gym. And I still did not know what Beachbody was. I knew what P90X was. But I didn't know this umbrella company that was Beachbody. And so when I got the callback, I said, well, okay, what's this Beachbody thing? I started Googling and looking further into it. And of course, one of the first faces I see is Tony Horton. I'm like, oh, that guy with the really awesome job. Like maybe I need to take this a little bit seriously and really put myself out there and see what happens. And you guys can watch the 20s. I'll kind of fast forward from there. I will tell you guys that reality show, it's a good little binge watch, but we did not have cell phones or internet or music or contact with the outside world, like nothing. We didn't even have TV. All we had was BOD. They were just coming out with BOD, so that is like literally the only entertainment that we had. We were locked in that house for like 8 weeks. At the end, they picked like the final 3. And the last day of filming, when they were supposed to film who won, the 3 of us are like in this room sweating bullets. We think we're going to go out. They're going to announce a winner. And this person from Beachbody comes in and goes, so we're not going to announce a winner today. And we're all just like, what do you mean? Like we've gone stir crazy. We're like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we actually really want the coaches to vote on who they want to be the trainer. We also want to keep this like really under wraps. We don't want it leaking out who actually won. So we're going to film 3 different endings, and you're going to pretend like you lost twice and pretend like you won once. And so I did that. And that's why if you watch the 20s, like at the end, I'm just like, oh, yay, because I did not win and I didn't know what to do. And I had to wait 6 months knowing that I was in the top 3, but not knowing if I won. And so they started coming out with all the episodes. And on the final episode, Carl called me up before they aired the episode and said, like, okay, you're going to be our winner. We're airing your episode. And so from there, things had to move very quickly. And in the 20s, we had to create a beginner program and an advanced, or not a program, but a beginner workout and an advanced workout so they could see our style a little bit. And mine was very athletic. I had pull-up bars, I had ladders, I had all kinds of things going on. And so I really thought that that's where they would want me to go with my program. But when I sat down with Carl, he was like, you know, watching your journey has been very interesting to me. He's like, because you didn't know what Beachbody was. You had misconceptions about Shakeology coming into this. You didn't, like, we watched you like not know that, you know, it was a real like sustainable like program that we had. You didn't know that there was nutrition programs that were behind it. You didn't know that there was modifiers behind it to make it kind of doable for any fitness level. He's like, and that was really interesting to me. He's like, so I'm wondering, like, who is the person that you train at your gym? And I'm like, well, I don't train athletes at my gym. I train the average person that wants to like lose some fat, gain some muscle, feel more confident about themselves. Like that's the person that I train. And he's like, you know, that's what I thought. and seeing your journey through this, and you're learning about Beachbody, it made me realize that other people need to learn about Beachbody too. Other people are coming into Beachbody with misconceptions. They're like, oh, what is this thing that I'm signing up for? They don't know of this umbrella company, Beachbody, but maybe they know of these little different pieces. And maybe they need a little bit of an introduction into everything that Beachbody has to offer. And so that's really where the concept of Clean Week started coming together. And that's why I'm talking about all the other programs during the workouts. That's why they get the Shakeology sampler pack and all that stuff, is to open up the door into all things Beachbody for these new challengers. So from here, I always talk about like kind of how Clean Week is able to crush a lot of barriers that people face when they're trying to start their fitness journey. And I was talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks until I realized that it was the perfect thing. It fit perfectly into FIT barriers. So FIT barriers. Financial barriers, insecurity barriers, and time barriers are like the three things that are going to stop anybody from doing pretty much anything, not just starting their fitness journey. But Clean Week does an excellent job in getting people out of their own way and smashing these barriers. So the first one is that financial barrier can be huge, especially when you are reaching out to people that don't know you. And so they're like, you want me to put my credit card what? And I'm going to sign up for what? Like, I don't know about this. Immediately that kind of barrier, that wall goes up. So Clean Week does an excellent job, because instead of asking for a huge sum of money and putting their card on file and all this stuff, they can just pay the $29.95 plus shipping and handling. I'm not sure what that is in Canada, but they could just pay that kind of one-time fee. They're not signing up for anything in the future. It's the one-time fee. They get their little box in the mail of their Shakeology sampler pack. It gives them a couple different flavors to try. It gives them all the materials for Clean Week. It's always cool getting actually something in the mail when you're starting something. So they'll be super excited about that. And they'll probably feel a little bit better of like, my card's not on file anywhere. I just bought this one thing. And it's super cheap. So they'll feel like, okay, it's not like I'm breaking the bank starting this thing. And from there, you're always going to have the people that are like, I don't care if it was $2. Like, I've spent like however many dollars trying to get on my fitness journey. I've tried everything. I've failed at everything, and I'm not spending one more dollar on one more thing. And so Clean Week does an excellent job with those people too, because you can offer Clean Week for free. And what I've seen is there's a misconception about what for free means. You do not have to sign anybody up for the 14-day free trial of BOD in order to do Clean Week for free. They just need to create the Team Beachbody account, and they're able to access all of the Clean Week workouts and the meal plan and everything like that. So it's literally for free. So basically all they're missing is the box that comes in the mail and the Shakeology. So I will say, if you can sell them on that box and that first thing, A, it's a nice little mini yes to get into the door. B, they get to try Shakeology for an entire week, see how it makes them feel, see all the benefits that they're going to get from it, because you really want them to experience all things Beachbody when they're kind of learning, right? But if they do have that wall up and you offer it to them for free, they're still going to be able to see that Beachbody is a legitimate company creating a legitimate product for them that includes nutrition, includes workouts, and all of a sudden it makes them feel a little bit better about this thing that they might sign up for. They go through an entire week with you guys then, and now they know that this, I have this huge support system now. I'm not going to just buy something and then be left to my own devices not knowing what's going on. Like, it just kind of opens up that door and makes them feel a lot more comfortable for what the future might hold. And then of course you're going to want, like, at some point in Clean Week, probably third, fourth day of Clean Week, you're going to need some sort of sales process. You're going to need to reach out to them and say, hey, like, our next challenge group is starting on this day, or, on Monday, what are you going to do? Because you've been doing great this week. You've made a lot of healthy changes. We don't want to slow your momentum down. So what's going to be the next thing for you? Because the worst case scenario with them beginning all the way through until that next, like, Sunday or whatever it is, Monday's going to roll around fast. They haven't meal prepped anything. They haven't, planned on what workout they're going to do. And all of a sudden they're sitting there like, okay, well, I guess that was a week. So you need to definitely have that sales process in place. But the nice thing is, if they do, okay, they have the barrier up, you give it to them for free, you put them in their group. they go halfway through the week and they're still kind of like, I don't really know. Well, okay, our group is doing 21-day fix next, and there's actually a 14-day free trial for you. They still have that available to them. So they go through the 14-day free trial in your 21-day fix group or whatever group you're going to create, and nobody's going to, after 14 days of a 21-day program, go, yeah, I don't really think that I want to finish this. Like, it's one more week, they're going to be like, all right, sign me up for whatever you need to sign me up for. So it's a nice way when those people are just kicking and screaming to kind of guide them along step by step. But when you can sell them, get them in, right? So the next one was the insecurity barrier. We smashed this one because we made the intensifier instead of the modifier. Owning a gym for so long, I should have known better. I had my test group come in when I was creating Clean Week. It was all Beachbody employees. I taught the workout, and one thing Carl and I talked about was we wanted this to be a real program. We didn't want it to be like a baby program. So if you guys try Clean Week and you do the intensifier, especially if you've been working out a while, you'll find that you're going to be sore. Like, it's going to actually be a tough workout. It's not going to be like, okay, well, I didn't even break a sweat with that. Anybody can get a good workout out of Clean Week. But when I first taught it, I did it like any of the other programs. I had the modifier, and the modifier was what made it a beginner program because we wanted it to be a real program, but still accessible. The moves are accessible. People can get easily in and out of those moves, even if they are beginners. So nobody did the modifier. Not a single person in that room. I was like yelling at people to do the modifier and they would not do it. Like I said, I should know this being a trainer for so long. People think that they are doing less than when they are doing the modifier. There's 100 reasons that you need to use the modifier in any given moment, and they're all perfectly fine, but you find people getting done with the program and saying, well, I did that program, but I just did the modifier, like, whatever. Or I did my workout, but like, I had to modify something, so they're like down on themselves. And so I got done that day. I had people dropping like flies out of that workout. Like, people were like, I have a meeting to go to. I cannot stay. Bye-bye. And just leaving. I had the more advanced people that stayed were like, that was like insanity. You're going to kill somebody. And I was like, nobody did the modifier. So the next day, all I did was switch it. I made the modifier the base move, and I made the base move from the day before the intensifier now. And so I had a whole new group of people come in, and the beginner people or people, that were just starting out, they hit the base move and they didn't feel bad about not doing the intensifier. They're like, nope, I'm good. I'm going to do my base move and I'm perfectly fine. I had the middle group that would try out the intensifier, like, play in the middle there, intensifier back to base move. And then I had the advanced group that stuck at that intensifier the entire time. And then at the end of that workout, I just had a room full of people that got an awesome workout in at their level, and nobody felt bad about what they accomplished during that workout. The people that were beginners or intermediate, if they did try any of the intensifier moves, they were like, oh my God, not only did I do that entire workout, but I also kicked butt because I tried an intensifier. So they're super like jacked up and excited about that, which should be a major part of Clean Week. It is only a week-long program, so they should see maybe a couple pounds of weight loss depending on where they're at in their fitness journey. We had people that had significant weight loss and were true beginners in the test group that lost like 10 pounds in the test group with Clean Week. But like I said, they had significant weight to lose and they were true beginners. But it's not really a big before and after program, obviously, because it's only a week. So what you want to see is them just getting these really small wins and feeling really positive about their experience. They got in the kitchen and they made some healthy meals. They got their 30-minute workout done every single day. And they feel really good about the entire experience. You guys are pumping them up and things like that. Have a big like celebration, graduation, who's coming into the next program with us and everything like that at the end of your Clean Week groups. So really, insecurity barriers should start to be taken away here. Like, they should be feeling really awesome about doing Clean Week. And if they wanted to do another round of Clean Week, that's certainly up to you guys. But those options aren't always there. And even with the meal plan, a big intimidation factor for a lot of people is just getting in the kitchen. They don't cook. And so with the meal plan, I sat down, and I don't like to cook either. I make everything I eat super simple. I don't like to cook. I don't like to clean up after cooking. So that's when I sat down with Beachbody and said, here's what I want the meal plan to look like. It was just like, I want it simple. And so if you look at that meal plan in the beginning, there's a bunch of different recipes that are super simple. But even if you go into the back of that meal plan, there's more ideas of even simplifying further, because I'm the type of person that will make a bunch of protein like chicken, a bunch of veggies, and a bunch like a batch of brown rice or something, put that in the refrigerator separately, and then grab as I want during the week. And maybe if I start running low on protein, I'll just cook up some protein, stick that in the fridge. And that way, kind of during the week, I'm just cooking one little thing at a time. It's not so overwhelming for me. And like I said, I don't like to cook. So all of that is even in the back of the meal plan, like simple, simple, simple. So they should be feeling like I can do this. And the last one is a time barrier, 30-minute workouts, simple nutrition. Like they should be able to fit this into their life. They should be creating a foundation for themselves. So that way, when they do go into some of the other programs that are longer workouts, that they're learning a lot more, that they're being overwhelmed because it's a whole new nutrition program that they're starting to learn. That's all very overwhelming for somebody who's just starting out. So instead of what maybe used to happen where they get overwhelmed and they throw their hands up in the air and say, okay, I'm done with this. This didn't work for me. Well, now they have Clean Week as that foundation. Oh, I was a little overwhelmed with that workout we were doing. I can always go back to that Clean Week workout for today. I can always go back to the Clean Week nutrition instead of just saying, well, I can't do any of this. And that way they can start learning these other programs and these other things. And like I said, still feel positive about what they're doing instead of just completely falling off the wagon. And then with your new coaches, last thing before I open it up for questions, I promise. But with your new coaches, so we've been talking this entire time about bringing new challengers in. And it's awesome because it starts creating this pool of people that are interested in obviously taking the next step in their fitness journey. So now it's not so much, you kind of have to like cold, I guess, message them to get to them. But after that, you've warmed them up and they're feeling good about it. And now they're like a pool of kind of friends that you get to pick from. Well, this is also a great opportunity for your new coaches that are like, I have to run what challenge group? Like, I can't do that. Like, it was probably intimidating enough for them to start their own fitness journey. And now they are running their own challenge groups and things like that and starting to be coaches. It's all a lot, right? So this is a great opportunity for them to start learning about how to run their own challenge groups. Clean Week has what to post, when to post it in the start guide. So everything is kind of done for you, and then you can focus more on how you interact with people, what your sale process is, and you don't have to be so worried because, like I said, everything is done for you, and you can kind of learn how to run a bigger challenge group. Like if you wanted to do an 80-day obsession group, instead of like your first challenge group being 80-day obsession, like you're committing to 80 days of coaching people while you don't know what you're doing. Now you've kind of gotten your feet wet with Clean Week, and then you can start going into some of these longer programs. So it's a great, great tool for your new coaches to become comfortable with coaching, because that can be very intimidating too. So I think my part is done here, but if you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them.
I just love that you talked about small wins, because I feel like you said, people are afraid to do the modifier. I find that in our challenge group so much that they feel shame in that. And I just love that you simplified everything and made everything about the small wins and being able to celebrate that along the way. It's so important. And like you said, it's trust for people, right?
What?
Build trust for people, like within themselves, that they can do it. And
exactly, within themselves, with you guys. These challenge groups should really be like, these people are on fire and you're on top of them. I would almost suggest, I see a lot of people doing like mixed groups where they're just kind of throwing people into a group and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. I would really suggest with Clean Week doing a clean week group, because it makes people feeling a lot more comfortable to interact with people that they know are doing exactly what they're doing, instead of being like, oh, all these people are in here are doing 80-day obsession. Like, I don't know about that program. It makes them feel a lot more comfortable when everybody's doing the same thing as them, and they can start asking questions about it and things like that. I see a lot more interaction when it's kind of set up that way. So I don't know, thing for you guys.
Like you said, though, I think it takes away the insecurities, you know, because it is simple. And even with family, because I feel like a lot of that's probably like the number one objection I get from people is they're like, I don't want to make separate meals for my family. And this is such a great way to show them that you can eat healthy and incorporate that with your whole family. And it doesn't have to be so complicated, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions? Do you want to throw it in the chat first, and then Megan can look at the chat?
Megan knows how to see the chat. Okay.
I've got one from Jen. It says, do you see a difference in those who use Shakeology during Clean Week in terms of their commitment?
Definitely, I think obviously Shakeology just makes one less meal that they really have to think about, you know. So I think it helps them stay on track during the week. It definitely helps them with their cravings. So that's probably the number one thing with people starting out. They're like, I have these cravings. And that's really what Shakeology takes care of for them. And for me, I mean, when I was in the 20s, that's exactly like, they have this big Shakeology bar. I actually, before the 20s, I had told one of my clients that they couldn't have Shakeology because that's how much of a misconception I had about what Shakeology was. I'm like, what is this shake thing that my client is getting in the mail? Like, no, you can't have this. And I actually looked at the package, and I remember specifically telling her, I don't see anything bad in here, but it's hidden in here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's in here. So I had so many misconceptions. So I think when I drank it for 8 weeks on the 20s, I was like, dang, I really do feel better. So I do think it helps people kind of jump into not only maybe getting a bod membership, but, you know, getting an entire challenge pack and getting Shakeology with it. I think it really does help and makes a big difference.
Totally. It's so funny you say that, because that was my big thing too. I was like anti-Shakeology. I was drinking some other stuff and couldn't find the ingredient list, and I was like, well, there must be something sneaky here.
Right.
You know, so skeptical, right? And now it's been 4.5 years and I can't live without it.
Exactly.
Sarah said she's been holding clean. Yeah, Sarah's been holding Clean Week parties, and she's so excited to meet you.
Oh, awesome.
And they are good parties. I peeked in there. Jocelyn says that your call was amazing.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions really quick? It's super quiet. Oh, Megan, you just got muted, hun.
If it has to do with Clean Week or anything else, like, you guys can ask me anything.
Clean Week, no Clean Week questions. Well, I just think it's amazing that you bring so much expertise, and I was totally blown away when I found out that you were training at such a young age for fitness competitions. Like, that is a big commitment for somebody of that age, right? 14 is crazy young. Yeah,
and when I started, there was figure and fitness, and the whole thing looked very different than it does today. I mean, today, you know, bikini is the big thing, and now I see a lot of high school students training in order to do bikini. It was not that popular when I started. Like, I have no idea what, like, got me to be like, yeah, like, I'm totally going to, like, basically everybody just called me a bodybuilder at that point. They're like, oh, this chick's a 14-year-old bodybuilder. Like, what is she doing? I'm like, I don't really know. It was not that popular. It was a really random thing to kind of jump into, but.
Amazing though. I mean, that's some serious discipline for somebody of that age, right? I mean,
yeah, and even now people ask me like, oh, like, would you ever go back to competing? Do you miss competing? I definitely miss certain aspects of competing, but sometimes I try to get back onto kind of that level of discipline, and there's like no part in me that wants to do it anymore. I'm like, I've done it for 13 years. I've been down that road. I'm good.
But your journey inspired your dad. I mean, what a great start, you know? So,
yeah.
Oh, Christine's got a question. She said she has she just said she loves you in Clean Week, and she has fibromyalgia, and it's perfect for her.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's definitely perfect for, I mean, with pregnancy, like, not that she asked about pregnancy, but for different people though. So people with injuries, people with disabilities, people with that are pregnant. And there's definitely some things with pregnancy. Ask the doctor, they can't lay on their back and things like that. So certain modifications, but I've had lots of moms going through the programs and soon-to-be moms. So it's definitely good even for coaches who maybe they are going through some of the more difficult programs now. When they get to the end of that program, it's like, okay, I ended that program. Like, it's almost a good like mental reset and body reset to just take a week of like reset for yourself and then get back maybe into another program or another round of that program we were doing before or something like that. So there's a lot of different uses for it. It's not just for new challengers, surely.
Totally. Have you found, so your gym, you're training for Warriors Coral Springs. Did you had that before you started with Beachbody, right?
Yeah.
And so did you find that was there a big shift once you did the show? Did you get more people coming into the gym or?
No.
Oh, really?
No, every once in a while a Beachbody coach will come visit or something. We've put on events before and had a bunch of Beachbody coaches come out, but what we found is it's very separate. Like I think a lot of people who own gyms, a lot of trainers are always worried that it's going to step on their toes. Like, oh, well, if I start selling Beachbody products, like it's going to affect my personal training. And these are very different groups. Like the people that come to my gym, if I was like, unless it was like, here's Beachbody on demand for you to go on vacation and follow it while you're on vacation, they're like, no, I come here, I train here. And the people that we talk to about Beachbody on demand, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to work out at home. Like I've never had a transition one way or the other. And I didn't have like a bunch of Beachbody people coming in to train with me. So it's just, I don't know, separate worlds, I guess.
Very interesting. Oh, I just thought that'd be so neat to hear how that correlated the two, right?
Another question there.
One more from Yvonne said, would you recommend people do the clean week meal plan more than 1 week in a row, or switch to one of the other nutrition plans after their work or after their week?
I would say it really depends on where that person's at. If they get to the end of clean week and they're still feeling a little overwhelmed at the prospect of diving into a new program and a new meal plan, that's always kind of the opportunity for you guys to say, okay, like, you know, maybe you go into the other program, but maybe we continue with the clean week meal plan. Because certainly there's going to be, you know, they're going to get a lot more comfortable when they're getting in the kitchen and doing the same process over and over again for at least a couple weeks. So if they do have a lot of anxiety about getting into the kitchen and cooking, then I would say that's the perfect place to kind of implement a few more rounds of clean week meal plan or something like that. But definitely eventually I want them to learn more about the different options they have as far as their nutrition plan, because it's not one size fits all. So that's another excellent part about Beachbody is there's so many different nutrition options. So I do want them to branch off eventually and find one of those other programs that works for them too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Tara said, I don't know if she can tell us that. Do you have anything new planned with Beachbody?
I hope so.
You're so easy to follow. We'd love to see you more. So I don't know if you can tell us that. That's probably like 007 stuff that we're asking you now, right?
It is, but I mean, there's, I think, 10 trainers now. So it's kind of like everybody gets filtered through. Yeah. And honestly, I was waiting for Jericho's program because I just figured like, okay, Joel came out with his program. I'm going to assume Jericho's somewhere in the pipes. So I was waiting for that. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm here, guys. Like, I'm ready.
Where we will be cheering you on, waiting for the next Megan Davies stuff to come out. Are you going to be on the cruise? Can I ask you that?
No, and that literally leaves like 20 minutes from my house. Like,
oh, wow.
So maybe I'll come to the dock and be like, bye.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you at Summit.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We so appreciate and value your time and your expertise and your advice, and just so appreciate you coming on our call tonight.
No, thank you guys, especially for getting so many teams on here. That's awesome. So thank you guys for having me.
Just want to maximize your time. Thanks for everything, you guys.
Thank you guys. Good night.
Have a great night.